Welcome back to Enlighten Up. You are listening to episode 12, Communication with Your Guides, Angels, Numbers, and Synchronicities. We are excited to bring this topic up with you all today. We are going to discuss how do you know when you're being communicated with by an angel or a loved one who's passed on, or perhaps even your higher self. What do the messages look like and what form do they take? This is a great one to talk about because there are so many different ways that your angels could be trying to communicate with you. We're also going to share some of our own stories of how we discovered that we were being communicated with and what that actually meant. So let's jump right into the episode and get straight into the topic. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our show. This is episode 12, and you are here with myself and my beautiful co-host, Lisa Watson and Michael Ronayne. How are you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
Wonderful.
I'm waiting for the day, Michael, where you just come out of the gates like you were just drinking coffee. That's what we need you. We need you to come out with gusto.
I'm here. I'm happy to be here. How about that? That's gonna be as good as it's gonna get today.
Well, we know you're happy to be here. So today our episode topic is communication with your guides and angels. How do you make communication or contact, and how do you know when they're trying to communicate with you? So, Lisa, let's start with you today. What are your thoughts on this topic?
I'm cracking up because I'm holding back the light language right now. That's one way I know. Like, for me, that's what's coming through lately. Whenever I have confirmation of something, they want to talk. So, but before all that, and currently, I don't know. I've really just been thinking and learning about it a lot more than I have. But my whole life, I would say that I have felt that my communication with my guides and my angels and, my higher self has come through my gut. I think that that's something that, you have that gut feeling about something, like it just is a knowing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one indication that you're, being guided. And I find that whenever I don't listen to that, I wished I had, even on the littlest of things. Like, for example, I can recall so many times I've been like at the grocery store, walking up and down the aisles, and the days when my kids were younger and I, had to go do a big shopping like every week kind of thing, and walked up and down every aisle. And I come to an aisle and I kind of look down it and be like, yeah, I don't need anything down there. But have this feeling like that I should go down there, and then being like, no, like I'm look again, like, no, don't need anything down there. And then get home and like reach for, say a sandwich bag or something and be like, shit, I'm out of sandwich bags. And know that was the aisle that, I should have walked down. And that stuff happened all the time. So I've just really learned to kind of really tune in and pay attention to just those little fleeting thoughts that you kind of wonder, like, why did I think that? Like, that they just pop into your head.
Yeah, so I think that's actually good because some people may think that the communication has to be about something really major in their life, where it can just be like really small day-to-day things just to help make your life flow a little easier so that you don't have to like go back to the store and get another item that you could have just got there. So time saving, all these like little things that can just make your life a little easier. Michael, have you had any experience with guidance?
like I have an application on my phone that tells me where to go in my car. I don't know. I mean, I could always, I have a gut. It makes choices sometimes, and sometimes they're okay, and sometimes like, what? That was not smart. So I'm like, if it's an angel, I'm like, I gotta like figure out if I got a good one. I don't know.
Oh, okay. So that's good. So why don't we talk about who the guides could be and our angels, and I'll like introduce who the angels are and all of that, because when we say guidance,
with them.
Well,
What'd you say, Lisa?
I said, I think your angels are fucking with you.
Yeah, I think so. Like, totally, I could see it. Yeah,
I'm going to be honest. I think they actually do that sometimes just to make things a little bit more interesting for us. I've often thought that I've been the butt of many jokes up in the higher realms with my life and the way things have turned out. But like our guides, when we say guides, and people out there are wondering, well, what do they mean? Who are these guides? Lisa, who would you say are some of the guides that could potentially be speaking to you?
Well, I believe that we all have our guardian angels. So I believe there's that. And then there's your higher self. And then, obviously to me, Jesus and just, ascended masters and just, I don't know, whoever's up there wants to pipe in, I guess, who I'm not that familiar with.
So there's also animals. We have, if you think back to like Native American times and where they have deep relationships with the animals and the land, and there was a huge respect for animals. Even when they were hunting, there would be ceremonies and blessings of gratitude and appreciation for that animal's life. And they have a lot of I don't know how to say it, a lot of details about each animal's spirit and what it means when you start to connect with that spirit, because each animal has certain traits and characteristics and virtues that go along with that animal that each one of us could be taking on at certain points in our life. And so for me, I found that when I'm meditating, I will often have certain animals show up in my meditation. And when they do, what I'll do is after the meditation, I'll go and look those animals up, and I'll just type in spiritual meaning of and say it was a fox or a tiger. I'll go and look that up and see how that may be applying to my life or the guidance that that animal might be trying to show me at this particular time. But also we have our angels are there to protect us, and so are our guides. And so we actually do even have animals that come in to be our protectors in the higher realms and to keep us from maybe making choices that are going to be harmful to us or not the best choices. So that's another aspect of the guides that is, I think, a really important one.
Yeah, when things show up like in my life consistently, or like a bug or a dragonfly lands on you, or you have a centipede climbing up your wall.
Yeah, I hear you had one this morning.
I know, and you had one the other day.
Yeah, I wasn't happy about that.
I now pay more attention to those things than I used to. Thinking that it was just whatever, just an animal. But now, for a while a couple years ago, when I got divorced and I moved into my own place and everything, I kept having dragonflies show up. I mean, I felt like they were following me. I would open my front door and there would be a dragonfly literally just right there waiting for me to open the door, just like humming, looking at me. And I would go for a run. And when I would come back, like the dragonfly would show up, and like almost greet me as I returned home, or it just seemed like they were always around. And so I looked up the symbol for dragonfly, and there's a lot of different things that they represent, but one of them is just you're evolving, and it just has to do with opening up, basically. And I felt like that is exactly what was happening to me, that I was, starting to evolve and open up more spiritually. And the dragonfly was a symbol of that for me.
Yeah. Okay. So to our listening audience, just before we actually started recording this podcast, we were talking about awareness and how much, when we have awareness, how much that can actually enhance our lives and help us out. And having awareness of these possible signs around you and how it may be tying into what's going on in your life right now, the more you start to pay attention, the more you're going to get the guidance, right? Like, I feel like the more we pay attention, the more it shows up. That's how I felt. Like, I'm just getting way more signs now that I'm paying attention. Or maybe they were always there. I wasn't paying attention before.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case.
Michael's just...
Yeah, I don't understand that. I mean, okay, if I start thinking everything that I see is some sort of spiritual guide, I'm just going to end up walking in circles. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a bug, or a cat, or a dog, or whatever.
No, that's
so it's
a good point.
How do you guys know in a way that something has significance versus I'm just like, there's a squirrel running around my yard.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So think about, what were you just thinking? Was there a conversation you were just having with someone when the animal showed up? Those kind of things can play a big factor in how you can discern whether it's guidance or it's just the animals running around outside.
I think it has to do with your gut as well. Like sometimes I, see animals or whatever, and I don't really pay attention. And other times I'm like, I think that it means something, maybe because my gut's telling me that it does. Or like Nicole said, maybe there's something on my mind, or I have a question about what's going on in my life right now, or maybe I've been praying for guidance, and then these things start showing up. So
yeah,
it just depends on your level of awareness at the time, I think.
And also how many times that animal's showing up in a very short period of time can also be a good indicator. So for instance, maybe you see a rabbit outside and you haven't seen a rabbit in a really long time. And then like the next day you see another rabbit somewhere else, and then someone starts talking about rabbits to you. That might be a good indication that you may want to start looking up what rabbit means, because there may be a message from the rabbit to you on what could be helpful in your life. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Now, relationship to angels, is it like an angel possessed rabbit? Is that what you're trying to say?
No. So the animals,
like Daenerys on a dragon, you got like an angel riding a rabbit around.
No, that's funny though. No, it's just animals have their own guidance to offer us through their own spirit, like what they represent. So it's just another layer in the guidance toolbox. Angels are in there as well. So
what's going on?
Who's Lisa talking to?
My kitty's going crazy right now, June. I'm like, I think there's a fairy in the room. She's like running around chasing nothing.
It's a cat. Cats do that.
But she sees something. I don't know what she sees. Anyway, sorry, I got a little distracted there.
Get back on, Nicole.
I'm saying, Nicole.
I don't even know where we left off.
June, what are you doing?
Hold on, let me look up what cats are trying to tell you. Oh, yep, to fuck off.
Okay. How do your angels speak to you besides maybe... Like, how do you think your angels speak to you, Michael? If you were to have an angel speak to you, how do you think they would speak to you?
I mean, if I was very narcissistic, I could think that I got my own angels, like kicking it and like helping me make wise decisions and doing things in life. But then I see people that have great lives, really spiritual, and just make really bad decisions and end up in a worse place. So it's like, I'm not sure. I just don't know if it's like, I feel like people who, like, let's say they win the lottery and they go, oh, thank you, God, I won the lottery. And I'm thinking, it was just random numbers you picked. And like everybody who wins thinks that God or a divine intervention was into it. Everybody who loses thinks, oh, well, I didn't pick the right ones. God didn't answer my prayers or whatever. And
That's
so sometimes
a good point.
Yeah, and sometimes I think that when good things happen in your life, you're kind of looking for some sort of above and beyond human type reason to give it acknowledgement. But like when bad things happen, I mean, it's like,
you don't think
where's the excuse on that one kind of thing?
Like when, one team wins the football game and is
Right.
like thanking God and the other team loses. Like, so did God?
I literally just saw a meme of Jesus and I think it's the Hindu god, the elephant with a bunch of arms.
The Ganesh?
Yeah, fighting. And there was like two, and then like the next frame was like two people praying, I hope we win this war, or I hope I win that war, or something like that. And it's like that's probably what a lot of people think. And this is why even in high school, my high school, we I was on the football team and we actually did pray before the game. And I'm like going, okay, what if they do the same thing? It's like God's gonna flip a coin, or it's like these angels against those angels. I mean, where does it stop?
I think we have this idea when we pray for a specific outcome, and that's the ego.
Right.
The ego believes, winning the lottery is a great thing or whatever. Not to say that it isn't, but that's something that God would give you. But we don't believe that a broken leg or a car accident could also be an answer to our prayers. And maybe that broken leg or that car accident are what helped truly change the course of our life into something better. So, we're so busy judging things as being good and bad that, I think that's where things we get confused about, whether our prayers are being answered or not. Where some of the worst things that happen to us end up being the best thing that ever happened to us. And you hear people say that all the time. I lost my job and why would God do this to me? And then a year later, oh my gosh, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. I have a much, better job now, or, I feel healthier, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's one side of it. And I think there's also the side of it that, we forget that we actually control our reality through our level of consciousness. And so if our energy level is really funky, say you've got a team and you're all praying, but you're all like in a really funky mood, well, you're praying by putting all that funky energy into it. So you're only creating the outcome with that energy. You're never going to get the energy, like the outcome that you're maybe striving for, if you're not even aware of what you're putting into it. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think I know what you mean, but I'm not sure how clear that is as far as the energy that you're putting out. I mean, I get that whatever energy you put out is the energy that you're going to receive back.
Yeah. So if you're putting really negative energy, not realizing that, okay, you're all in like this, say you're a team, you've been on a bit of a losing streak, and you're trying to like come out of that losing streak, but you're kind of in this desperation. You don't have the faith that you would if you were on a winning streak. So your level of energy is lower, and you're going to inject that energy into this prayer that you're putting out, hoping for a different outcome. And that energy can't create an outcome that's more positive. You need positive energy to create a positive outcome. So
that makes sense.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. And I think a lot of people don't understand their role in what they're putting out there and how that can actually affect your reality. We really are the creators of our own world. And so we have to be really aware of our contribution. We can't just put it all on like the higher realms.
Right. And we have certain, life experiences that we need to go through. Not everything can be, unicorns and butterflies all the time. And that doesn't mean that God isn't there or God doesn't love you. It's just our experience. And
so I'm a little bit confused myself. I guess the difference when I'm relating what you guys are talking about back to our subject, meaning like mainly angels and higher self, like you're saying follow your gut instinct, positive, positivity and stuff like that. And we've been talking a lot about that in the last few months. What is the difference of, say, your higher self and discernment versus what you guys believe, like angels trying to influence you?
Angels aren't trying to influence you. They're offering guidance.
Well, what's the difference between influence and guidance then?
Well, it's take it or leave it. They don't. It's you have free will.
Yeah.
They don't really have an opinion about. I don't.
Well, they
think
do. By guiding, I believe that's kind of like an opinion, isn't it? Like I'm guiding you over here. My opinion is you should go over here.
They're trying to serve you to your highest good. So you can choose whether or not you want to listen to that or not.
And the same thing with your higher self.
Yeah.
So why do you need both? Or, I mean, maybe you don't need both. I don't know. I'm just asking.
I think they're all on the same team.
Yeah.
Why do you need okay, how about this? Why do you need a team? It's like that. Like, would your higher self not be able to do this job solo? I'm just asking out of theory, if you will.
Why would you want to do it by yourself?
Meaning your higher self.
Yeah.
Like, does your higher self have like tools that they need the assistance and the help of angels as well?
No, I don't think it's about that. I just think about if you could have more help, why not have it? Why only take it from one place?
I mean, yeah, I know. I can understand that. I'm just saying, in your guys' opinion, why... okay, never mind. So, the more the barrier. I get it.
The more the barrier?
Yeah.
I see what you're trying to say.
I got Team Angel with a coach of a higher self. Is that what's going on?
I think that each... okay, so whether it's your angels or different guides, ascended masters, animal spirits, that sort of thing, whoever it is, I feel like everyone has their own unique abilities to bring to the table. And so when you can have all these different ways of being communicated to, it just allows you to have a broader scope of how to communicate, how to listen, how to take in information, how to assimilate that information. So I think it just helps you expand your awareness, your consciousness, and how you're going to communicate.
Do you guys feel like you would know the difference if it comes from, let's say, an angel versus your higher self?
No. I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I don't think it matters so much. I think people are able to, like, some people are able to say, oh, that was Archangel Michael telling me to do this. Because they've built up enough of a relationship. They know, like, hey, so everyone, including like angels and guides, have their own energy signature. And when you start to pay attention to the energy coming through, like maybe your every time Archangel Michael speaks to you, you get like this tingling on your right arm. And every time someone else speaks to you, you get like your face goes numb or something like that. Because one of our friends, that happens to her. And so, but that's someone else. So when you start to pay attention to, like, say, what the signals are that you know that energy is coming in, that's how you can start to discern who the actual energy is. But
that's more like angels, 202. I mean, that's once you really start to develop a relationship, I think.
Yeah, at first you won't really know.
Yeah.
Unless you have like some major, quick, fast awakening, like growth spurt.
Yeah. And also you have to get to know, like you said, Archangel Michael, like you would have to, you can pray to certain angels, you can ask your higher self, you can ask Jesus, you can ask your guides, so you can ask. It's just like being down here on earth and saying, okay, I'm going to call my friend Nicole, or, I'm going to call Michael, or I'm going to call Stephanie and get their opinion, or have them help me with this. It's the same thing. They just don't have bodies, but there's a whole bunch of souls up there that are there for you to communicate with.
So there's certain energies up there that are better dealing with this situation versus that situation, is kind of like what you're saying.
Yeah, some specialize in some areas more than others.
And the difference between an archangel and an angel is?
It's like Nicole. It's like rank.
No, I don't believe that. I think that's a human projection. I believe all angels are part of the same energy. It's just we identify them in a certain way because it helps us. But I think it's all coming from the same energy. That they're, who's moving their mic around?
My bad.
Yeah, I don't think it's like an archangel is better than just a regular angel. Like, I think they're just all angels, but I think it helps us identify in a way for us to feel like we know what's going on, add that human aspect to it of.
Yeah. And okay, so switching a little bit here, I wanted to also talk about, we talked about animals as being, symbols from your guides, but also numbers. And I know you've mentioned that, Michael, that Nicole and I always seem to think a number means something, right? But you ever find yourself, like, every time you look at the clock, it's the same. Like, you see, 333 every day, or 1111, or, you look down at your phone and you've got, it's 44 degrees out and 44% battery life, and it's 3:44 in the afternoon or something. That's another way that angels communicate with you, is through numbers. And numerology and what those numbers mean.
Okay.
And the significance that they have.
We have an actual really funny story to share with everyone about this. So it does have to do with numbers in a way, but not literally, because it has to do with a license plate. But
Gosh.
So if anyone of our listeners remember from episode 6, Lisa's boyfriend, who is now her husband. So let's just give a congratulations to Lisa and Brian, who just recently got married. We are so happy for you, because we do love Brian, don't we, Michael?
Obviously, they were inspired by my viewpoints on love from earlier podcasts.
We owe it all to you, Michael.
You got it. Well, you're welcome. I expect a check.
We love Brian and the fact that he is the true mayor of Skeptic Town. So
yes, he is.
I married a true skeptic.
Good for you.
But he's a skeptic who is accepting of all that we talk about in everything you believe, right? Like, he doesn't. Yeah. He's open, and he respects me and the fact that I believe this stuff, but that doesn't mean that he does. But he's okay, he doesn't really make me feel like I'm an idiot or anything. Like, you're a crazy kook. He's just like, he just says, I'm gonna math and science it. You do what you want. I'm math and sciencing this shit.
Yeah.
So, speaking of math and science, so Lisa and I and Brian were in a car, and we were on the highway, and we were having a conversation about spirituality and science, and how the discussion was basically on how, is science more right than spirituality, and how it can solve things or understand things. And
it proves concrete.
Yeah.
You have something to, wrap your head around, something you can put on paper.
Yeah. And of course, the discussion's getting a little passionate on both ends, not angry. We just, we're passionate about what we say and what we believe. And Lisa and I were kind of going back and forth with Brian, and, he's convinced that science is the way to understand things and, prove things. And we were on the highway, we were kind of in traffic, and then we finally were getting off on our exit. And as we're in mid-discussion, and Lisa and I are trying to explain spirituality, a car pulls in front of us, and Brian says,
"It's like, look at the license plate."
And so we all stop, and the license plate literally says science.
See? There you go. Case closed. End of the podcast, guys.
Well, Nicole and I's view of that was, wow, our angels are funny.
Yeah, we're like, they're having a good time with us on this one. But, let's think about it. Could science prove the reason why that car pulled in front of us and had a license plate that said science on it at that very time where we were arguing about spirituality and science? Science couldn't prove that, but spirituality could.
Or mere coincidence, and I do, unlike spiritualists, believe in mere coincidences.
Okay, are you going to tell me that it is a coincidence that someone has the license plate science and it just so happened to pull in front of us at that time?
Yes, and your guys' number theories, the only reason like I've always kind of like rolled my eyes whenever you guys talk about your numbers is like I look at it as like if you want to look for something, you will find it. For example, like when you buy a Volkswagen Bug, all of a sudden you see Volkswagen Bugs all the time on the road just because you have you have that in your mind and you're recognizing that. And like I see my car, I bought a new car a few months ago. I see it all the time now. And it's like I've never noticed it before, but now because of I have that car, I see it all the time. If I all of a sudden, in my opinion, take a look at it and go, oh, it's 11 o'clock. Oh, it's 11:11. Oh boy. And then like for some reason, 4 hours later or whatever, I'm like going, oh my gosh, it's 3:11. There must be something to it. I don't know. I mean, that's just coincidence to me.
Okay, you have a valid point on the fact that when you are thinking about something, it's like the pregnant woman. As soon as you become pregnant, all of a sudden you see pregnant women everywhere. So right. You are creating that within your energy field that you're going to start to pull in. You're going to become a magnet for that kind of stuff. So you're now like a magnet for that your car because you're in it. You're thinking about it, right? So yeah, you're going to see it everywhere. And just like with the pregnant woman. You're pregnant and you're always thinking about being pregnant, so you're going to start to see pregnant women everywhere. So that's actually a good point. However, this is different.
You convinced me.
No, this is different because the chances of seeing a pregnant woman around are a lot higher than seeing a license plate that says science on it that comes out in front of you at the very same time that you're speaking about science and spirituality. Like that.
So, another example. So I have this problem with my back that I've had for like over a year now. And sometimes it really, really hurts. And I had gone to get a massage one day. I was in the car driving for a long time, out looking at some houses for real estate, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I'm so uncomfortable. So I stopped by the mall and I went and got this Chinese massage from these guys that do a great job. And so I go to get the massage. I go to get back in my car and my back still hurts as badly as it did before. And I can barely like lean to close my car door, and I just start crying, and I'm so frustrated. I've had this back pain for like over a year, and I'm just like praying. I'm frustrated. I'm just praying for help and like, to help get my back better and figure out what's wrong with me. And I have my eyes closed, and I had turned the key on my car, but I hadn't started my car yet. I was sitting in the parking lot, and then all of a sudden I just open my eyes, and as the first thing I see, I look and I see my odometer, and on there it says it's 44 degrees out and it's 4:44 in the afternoon. And that's just, to me, I felt like that was my angel speaking to me. Like I all of a sudden saw all these fours. And, if you look up, you can Google it, and there's many websites that tell you the meaning of numbers, but 4 basically represents that your angels are there, that your guides are with you, and that everything's okay, that you're on the right path and everything's okay. And to me, that was just really comforting. I felt like somebody was listening to me, that it was like I was praying and I was talking to the higher realms, and they were trying to communicate back and let me know that, we're listening to you and everything's okay. We're here. So, is that a coincidence that just in the middle of praying, you open your eyes and there are all these 4s in front of you? Or, does it mean something? But to me, it means something. And I have to believe that my angels and my guides don't have a body, so they can't, talk to me. So they have to find different ways to communicate and let me know that they're there. And I believe that they do that through numbers and through gut feelings and through animals and different things like that.
Yeah, the repeatable sequences of things are really good signs that you're being communicated to. Now, your angels will actually alter how they're communicating with you and how you decide to pick up these signals. So, if you are someone who really likes to get your answers from the clock, like on your phone, whether it's from the temperature, the battery life, and the time, then they'll start communicating you that way. One of our friends she's a singer, and she gets communicated a lot through songs on the radio, where she'll hear songs that she's never heard or hasn't heard in a really long time, just as she was having a thought about something, and they'll actually come up several times within a day, and she'll know that what the lyrics within that song were trying to communicate a message to her. That's another way. So you find out as an individual what works for you and the way that you want to accept these messages, and then they're gonna like start to change and alter it to suit you as how you want to receive your communication.
That makes total sense.
Yeah, and so since Michael hasn't decided that he wants to receive the communication yet,
oh, put it all on me now.
I feel like you have received some guidance, though, and I think that you, in some way, believe that you have received it, but you're just not completely convinced because it hasn't happened in a continuous, like, repeatable frequency that makes it feel like it's concrete now.
Perhaps. I'll let you know. But yeah, the numbers, I don't pay attention to time too much in my life, so perhaps that's what it is. And, it's always 92 degrees here, it seems like, so that doesn't change too much.
But didn't you actually pray to someone to ask for help, and didn't it kind of come?
Pray to someone? The
Didn't
only
you
thing I
ask?
pray to would be God.
Well, you asked. Okay, let's just say you asked. Pray, ask, had a conversation that you would like some guidance.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I was like, I need to make a decision, so I was like seeking any kind of help. I'm like, anything. Come on, let me know.
Yeah, so you tried it.
And I don't know if it came through, but well, okay. Yes, I guess. If I know what you're talking about now, I think. You're talking about my friend?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So let's just I'll take my skepticism hat off and just say, let's just say fully I'm on board on the Nicole and Lisa crazy train.
It's a fun ride, the crazy train.
I mean that in the most positive light. There you go. Anyway, so yeah, I was like, okay, let's give this higher self or some sort of discernment a chance here, and really go for it. And I was like lost because I had to make a major life decision a few weeks ago in my life. And so I really wanted to make sure I was making a smart decision. And so I was like, anything to help me, anything to influence me, because my gut, if you will, was torn on one side versus the other, to go for it or not go for it kind of thing. And those are the toughest decisions that we all probably face in our lives. Well, some of the toughest. And so I just wanted somebody to pretty much tell me what to do instead of like letting my own gut decide, because I just wasn't sure if I had good discernment. So literally somebody told me, and it was after I made up my mind and I was moving forward with my decision, and I went to a friend of mine who I know is spiritual like you guys in a different kind of sense, but like I didn't seek him out just because I wanted his advice. I just wanted to tell him what I was going to do. I wasn't like asking him what should I do. It was more like, okay, well, I want to let you know that I made a decision, blah blah blah. And so when I told him my decision, he was like, "No, man." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "No, I get this. This feelings come over me. That's not a good choice. That was not a good choice on your part." And I'm like dismayed, because as much as like I love to be the skeptic, if you guys are correct on half the stuff you guys say, it's like, okay, I really do probably should pay attention to this, because he's quite spiritual himself in that. And so he explained his reasonings, and it had, a lot to do with the spiritual feeling he gets, if you will. And I'm like, and so after dinner, I'm like, I already made a decision. I'm like, what? I don't know if I can go back. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to go home. I'm going to meditate for a while. And before midnight, I'll give you my answer. I'll text you my answer. I'm like, okay. And so around 11:53 that night, I get a, don't do it, bro. I'm like, God dang it. So I had a horrible night's sleep, and I'm just tossing and turning, not sure what to do. And like the next morning, his wife, who's quite spiritual too, he called me and he goes, like, my wife literally woke up, and the first thing she did, she rolled over and told me, tell Michael right now not to do this. And and I'm like, fine, that's enough messaging. I'm going to go do the opposite of what I was going to do the day before based off of this. So that was me doing a little bit of a leap of faith for you guys. So give yourself a round of applause for breaking through on some of my skepticism and really kind of going for, okay, if you guys are right, like on like half the things you say, then I should probably listen and not be so bullheaded and go the opposite direction.
But
so yes, I'll give you credit, Nicole. You're right.
No, but okay, but one of the parts that you didn't.
But there was no number saying, yo, you got to talk to this guy because you saw 11 3 times.
No, but okay,
well,
but you don't.
That's not you're not open to that
yeah,
yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so you missed a part of this story though that is also strongly making the story kind of like not coincidence, but something that was divinely orchestrated so that you could get this message.
Oh, yeah. So he did tell me, my friend did tell me, he goes, I don't know why, but like I was supposed to go out to dinner with my wife and some other people. And for some reason, I felt like I just wanted to go out to dinner with you. And he goes, we were meant to talk tonight. This is important. I was meant to come out and see you for dinner. And like that actually did kind of like strike a nerve in me, like a wow, you could be right. Because, I mean, I always was a person that didn't believe in fate and destiny, and I'm still battling if I do or don't. And like, but just for hearing people like that are so passionate and believe like this was just not just random, Michael. This was like, I don't know why it came over me, but I needed to go to dinner with you. That speaks a lot to me. That does speak a lot to me, I have to admit. So fine. Brian's going to have to take over my position, Lisa. I'm going to retire.
Yeah, I think that we're
going to retire, grow a beard, go to India, and call it a day.
We have a retired skeptic after only less than 6 months.
So we're going to bring Brian on. He'll be our skeptic. And then in 6 months, we might have to get another one up.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I'm not totally on board with, like I said, half the stuff you guys said.
Well, he's not carrying rocks around in his pocket yet, so.
Oh, yeah, he's okay. He's more of a skeptic than me because I literally am. So there you go.
Trust me, he's way more of a skeptic than you.
So, like the moral of the story here is you asked for the guidance, which is number one. If you want help, you have to ask for it. That's free will, the law of free will. No one can interfere in your life without you actually asking for the help. That's a divine cosmic law. And then once you've asked for the help, then you have to be open to receiving it. And because, Michael, you're not really into receiving it through numbers, it's not your thing, they came through this way in the form of your friends or people that you respect, which makes sense because you listen to a lot of the stuff that Lisa and I tell you, like off these podcasts, and you've been saying that some of the stuff has really been helping you. And so I think that's a lot of where your divine guidance is going to come through other people, but divinely orchestrated through the higher realms of making sure that you connect with those people so that you get the messages.
I would agree. Can't dispute that.
Yeah. So everyone's going to be individual on how they get their messages, how you're being communicated with, but, stay open. There's various ways that you can be communicated with, as we discussed today. So look for repeating things. So, it's not just about you look out your window, you see a squirrel in a tree and like, oh, squirrel's trying to tell me a message, It's like if you start seeing squirrels everywhere, or say squirrels come up in conversation, or like on a TV show, like I don't know, anything
or one
where it's
jumps out of
repeating.
a tree and lands on your head or something.
Yeah, that's a different, yeah. But look for repeatable signs. Look for things that maybe link up with your thoughts. If you're thinking about something and certain numbers are showing up the same numbers when you're having these thoughts, there might be a message there. And if you're someone who wants to start paying attention, the best thing to do is just go to Google and type in spiritual meaning of, and whether it's an animal, whether it's a number, that's, I think, the best way. And these things can also come into your dreams or in your meditation. So if you have things that show up in your meditation, maybe it's a fruit. Like maybe, like I once had cherries come to me and it was so random. I thought, that's weird. Why am I thinking about cherries? And so then I went to go look it up, and there was actual meaning behind it that made sense, that applied to what I was actually looking for guidance on. So you just never know.
And I think journaling is also a great idea, to journal a little bit, every day, and write the things down. Because as you pay attention and you start, writing them down, you'll start to see patterns. And that, like Nicole said, that's like, say, your angel's signature. That's how they're trying to communicate with you. And if you go back and read what you journaled, or your dreams as well, writing down what you see in your dreams or your meditations, and then you'll say, oh my gosh, the last time I was feeling this way and asking for guidance, the same type of stuff showed up. So that's just how you can start figuring it out, and figuring out how your angels are communicating with you.
Yeah, journaling's really great for that. And it's like when you were talking earlier, Mike, about how you drive your car and now you see all your car everywhere. Well, the more you start paying attention to this stuff, the more it's going to show up for you, because you're open to it. You're allowing it into your energy field. So that's how you can get guidance through your angels, guides. And your guides could be like loved ones who've passed on. It could be your grandma, it could be your grandpa, it could be an aunt who's passed away. They're also there to help guide you as well. So that could be a form of guidance.
Absolutely.
Do you guys have any major earlier stories of guidance where you're like, oh my gosh, clearly that's from, or like angels are clearly helping me out on this one?
Other than the stories that we've already told about, numbers and different.
Well, I know. I mean, like something like besides numbers, like that had the spiritual meaning of, like, something that really has influenced something major in your life. I'm just curious. I mean, if not, so be it. Yeah,
actually, I do.
Jesus told me to move to Boulder. That influenced my life.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
So,
and maybe to meet Brian. You never know. I mean, I guess you got things like that in life. I mean, we always say, okay, the reason why I got fired from this job was that, but there's also a lot of miserable stories where there's people that got fired, lost their wife, lost their family, and end up in a very dark place, and sometimes take their own lives. I've known 3 people like that in my entire life, and it's like, so when things happen, it doesn't necessarily mean that was supposed to happen. This is where I lose faith on, it was supposed to happen. Oh, and now you are gone. So this is why it's nice to hear the opposite side of the stories.
Well, I have one. So about a year ago, I was in meditation, and I was connecting with my inner child, and which is really good for healing older wounds, or just even reconnecting with that part of you, like that child part of you. And we were in a forest, and her and I were
I'm sorry, time out. Now we have an inner child too?
Oh, yeah. Well, another podcast. So,
Jeez.
so her and I are sitting on this tree branch in this forest, and we see smoke coming up in the distance. And it was during the afternoon, and so we thought, oh, but we knew it was coming from like a bonfire. It wasn't like there was something on fire, trees or something like that. So we hop off the tree and we go to check it out, and we come into this clearing, and there's this fire in the center, this bonfire. But when I look into the bushes, like for some reason I looked into the bushes and I see a pair of eyes staring back at me. And this man walks out from the bush up to my child self version of me. And he's wearing, he kind of looks more from, say, Central America region. He's darker skinned. He's got kind of like war paint underneath his eyes, all wearing like kind of white feather and fur dress. And so comes out, and my child self says to me, "Who's that?" And I said, "I don't know." And he looked at me and he says, "Yes, you do." And I thought, nope, pretty sure I don't. And he said to me, "Ask Chanda, she'll tell you." And he had some messages for me, which he told me, and I wrote them down in my journal. And so I went to go see my friend Chanda, who is, I guess, what many people would call psychic. And I told her about this, and she's like, "Oh, he told you to tell me." And I said, "Yeah." And in my mind, the name Michael came into my mind. And just as that name came into my mind, she goes, "Does the name Michael mean anything to you?" And I thought, oh my gosh, that's weird. I was just going to say his name. That name just came into my head. She goes, "Yeah, his name's Michael, and he's showing up that way to you." So she's like, "Okay, let's get you on the table and do some healing work." So she was doing and I told her that he had some rings on his finger. And I didn't tell her like which hand. I didn't tell her how many rings, because that was a distinct thing that showed up in my meditation. We're lying on the table, or I'm lying on the table. She's doing some Reiki on me. And she's saying to me, "Okay, Nicole, he's trying to send you a message right now, but he says you're too much in your head. Like you keep blocking the thoughts." And I said, "Oh my gosh, that's really weird, because I was just having the thoughts. Like, Nicole, just relax. Like, let your thoughts go so you can just enjoy this moment of healing." And she's like, "Yeah, he's putting his hand up, his right hand, and I see 3 rings on his hand saying she's just not letting me in." And I looked at her and I said, "I never told you he had 3 rings on his right hand." She goes, "Well, that's what I saw." And I said, "Okay." So that was another confirmation for me that I knew I was being connected with, like that, to let me know that that was real. So she said, "Okay, he's letting you know that in the next couple of weeks, he's going to send you another message, and it's going to be so obvious. It's going to be like flashing Broadway lights obvious." And I said, "Okay." So she goes, "So just be open to that." And I said, "All right." So a couple of weeks goes by, and her and I are getting ready to go down to New Mexico for this yoga and music festival. And the day before we leave, I go into a coffee shop. I was really craving a croissant. And I like, this place has really good croissants. I'm going to go in there. So I walk in, and there's no one in the place except the barista and some man who I think owns the place, who's standing in between the counter of where I am and where she is. And so she's talking to me, and she's asking me like how I am. And I tell her I'm about to go to New Mexico the next day. And she's like, "Oh, where?" And I said, "Santa Fe." And she's like, "Oh, that's great." And she starts talking all about it, telling me these things. And so I was like, "Okay." And then I got the croissant. I said, "Well, thanks very much. Have a great day." And as I'm about to leave, the man decides to speak for the first time. And he says, he goes, "Do you like breakfast?" And I thought, "Yeah, I like breakfast." And he goes, "You need to go to this really great breakfast spot. They only serve breakfast, and it's only open until I think 2 p.m. And it's called Michael's Cafe." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. I'll check it out." He tells me where it is, like in the town, and what to look for. And I said, "Okay, cool, thanks." And so I walk out, and I don't think anything of it. So the next day, my friend Chanda and I were on the road and we're traveling down to New Mexico, and I'm telling her how it was, apparently there's this really cool breakfast place we need to go to when we're down there. And she goes, oh, really? What's it called? And I said, Michael's Cafe. And as soon as I said it to her, it hit me. And I thought, oh my gosh. I go, do you think that's the message? And she's like, she looked at me and she's like, maybe. And so I decided to Google map it. And so I went and I looked on Google Map to see where this thing was. And I couldn't find anything called Michael's Cafe. I did find this cafe, though, that when I did type in Michael's Cafe, another name came up, which I thought was really weird. It was at the exact location that this man was telling me. So I'm like, okay, but it's not called Michael's Cafe. And so then I scroll down. You know how you can see the address of the actual cafe? I looked in the address, and in the address it said Michael's Cafe at 1616 St. Michael's Street. And I thought, okay, that's pretty obvious for me. And I just started laughing, and I showed Chanda, and she goes, yep, there's your message. And I'm like, yep, he's just letting me know he's here. You know, he was letting me know this is how I'm communicating with you. And it was just, you can't make this stuff up. And so that was one way that Archangel Michael was talking to me. So
I wonder if you would talk to me in my Spanish class, sophomore year of high school.
What? Why? Where did that just come from?
I had 18 guys in that class. It was an all-boys school, and 7 of them were named Michael.
Including yourself?
Including myself, which is why I changed myself to Miguel.
Oh, that's why.
That's where Miguel comes from?
A lot of aliases.
Yep.
Oh, we finally found the root of that name.
Well,
I've
that's
been
the
wondering.
root of Miguel, my first name, but my other name that you guys know, that's a whole new story. Funny other story.
Get all your names. I can't keep track.
Yeah, you have so many alter egos.
I'm like, like Jesus. He's got like 15 different names too, huh?
Ananda.
This is true. So, how do you think Michael was trying to talk to you to let you know? You know what?
Yeah.
Could have been.
Let me know that I need some freaking Spanish.
So one of the number 11 is supposed to be a symbol of your twin flame. It's a twin flame number, and I don't know. Maybe we haven't talked about twin flames, but twin flames are what a lot of people think a soulmate is, but it's really a twin flame. So I believe that Brian is my twin flame, and we just got our wedding photos, and we eloped and we got married on the top of Telluride Mountain, and it was just we decided a day before that we're going to go do this, and so we had a photographer come with us, and we just woke up and went and had breakfast and like, okay, let's just go up to this pretty spot, and we didn't have any, we did it ourselves. We just married ourselves because you can do that in Colorado. So it was just the two of us with a photographer. So we got the pictures back the other day.
Wait. You get to just like do that yourself? You don't need like a minister or anything like that?
Not in Colorado.
That's so cool. Good job, Colorado.
And you say, yeah, sure, sounds like a great idea. And then you're married. You just have to go get a license first. You can literally go in, get a license, and you could do it right there in front of the clerk and just say, will you marry me? Yes. And then both sign it and hand it back to her, and you'd be married. So
my goodness.
That easy. But we decided to do it up on the top of this mountain. So we get the pictures back, and I just kept feeling like, I was like, what time did we get married? Like, I don't remember, because we went out to breakfast, and then we had to get on the gondola and, go up there, and just didn't really know how much time we'd been up there. And so when we got the pictures back, I was like, okay, when we put the rings on each other's fingers, like, what time was it? And we looked at the timestamp on the photos, and I'm like, I bet it was like 11:11, but it was 11:44. So that means something to me. I'm like, I feel like that's significant. It was random. It's not like we planned it. We didn't plan to be there at a specific time. It just kind of happened. And I just feel like it's, to me, because I pay attention to numbers, it's just another confirmation that, that I married my twin flame and the angels were there watching.
And didn't the gondola number that you took on the way down, wasn't it number 11?
Yeah, it was that we got in number 11 at one point, and as I looked around me, I saw gondola number 33 and gondola number 34 were like right next to us, just the way that they were wrapping around. It just seemed like the number 11 followed us all around that weekend.
Okay, but explain why 33 and 34 are important to you.
33 and 34 always seem to show up in my life. Just 44 again being, just threes and fours in general. Threes being that I believe that threes are Jesus, or God is with you. Your angels are with you is 4. So 3s and 4s are just significant to me. And the very first time that Brian and I went to Telluride and got a hotel there, our room number was 34. And it just, I don't know, it's just significant. Like when we went to get our marriage license and we had the ticket to, you're next in line, it was number 0134. Yeah. So it just like those numbers just seem to follow us around all the time. So I feel like because I pay attention to that, my angels continue to give me confirmation that, just I'm on the right path, or that they're there and they're listening, and, I'm doing the right thing. So it helps me.
Yeah. I think Nicole, he's your twin flame too.
What'd you say?
I said, I think Brian's your twin flame too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Nicole, you have so many visions. I don't have visions when I meditate like you do. It's like you're dreaming. I have really vivid, lucid dreams at night, but not when I'm meditating. And, so for you, I feel like they really communicate to you through your dream, through your meditation visions, and to me through numbers and just, my gut feeling.
Yeah.
And
we're going to have to do, I am very skeptical on the twin flame thing from many reasons and stories that you guys have told me in the past. I'm super skeptical on that. So we definitely should do a podcast on that one of these times.
Yeah, we can totally do a twin flame.
Well, the mayor of Skeptic Town, he believes in twin flames too.
Oh, does he now? Because I don't believe it so far.
Maybe we need to have Brian on during a twin flame episode.
He's right there.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, look, we have a
on board with
surprise.
The twin flame thing.
Well, okay. When we first started talking about it, it's to me it's information, and it's what and I've always known it as a soulmate. But when I first described it to Lisa, what she said, you're not my soulmate, because a soulmate can be anybody and you can have lots of different soulmates. But for people like me and presumably you, Michael, we don't know all the different variations. So soulmate is the easy word. But when she started describing what a twin flame is, it was exactly what I thought a soulmate was. So what I understood the soulmate to be, that was really what a twin flame was. So to me right now, it's semantics.
Gotcha. I don't believe in soulmates either, so.
Because you don't believe in love.
That could be part of it. No, I mean, we'll save it for another podcast. But yeah, I mean, some of the things that I've heard just on what your guys' soap opera, twin flame stories, really.
Because we got married 90 days after
our... I'm not talking about you two. I'm talking mostly on Nicole's side, and she knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Body snatchers and all that.
Yeah, things like that. And it's like, guys, all right, there's only so much I can kind of accept. Yeah. This is not one of them yet. And I'll put in the word yet, but there's no. I right now I'm not at all convinced.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's okay.
Right.
I think given the stories that you've heard, I wouldn't expect anything less.
No, it's such a great story, Nicole. We're gonna have to tell it at some point.
God,
it's a little out there, but it's entertaining. So I think our listeners want to hear it.
I know, but we don't want to but it is a very private story too. So whatever you feel comfortable with. But like it was part of the reason, like my current skepticism with twin flames.
Yeah, and I honestly don't blame you one bit. I would actually be shocked if it didn't. So because that story that happened to me, it rocked my world. It threw everything upside down, and I didn't know which way was left, which way was right.
Right.
It rocked all my foundation of faith. Like it threw me. It rocked all my faith for that time period. It
seems like when you abandoned the idea of twin flame, or at least who your twin flame was and all that, that's when Brian showed up for me.
See, and that's another thing. Okay, yes, we need to save this for another podcast because I got so much more to say on this.
Okay, yeah, we'll wrap it up there on the whole thing because lots to talk about there.
Okay,
so
yes.
Did you guys have anything else you wanted to add to this whole how to get guidance from your higher self, angels, guides, all that stuff?
I always understood that angels were messengers. You guys are looking at they're more like guides. Is there a difference with that, or do you believe in both, or what?
I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, okay. I think it's the same thing. They give you messages to help guide you.
Fair enough. There you go.
Yeah.
Or play practical jokes on you.
Like science.
Exactly.
I guess Brian, science is a big fat practical joke.
They have a sense of humor.
Yeah. All right. So, maybe our next podcast will be on twin flames. We'll let you know. We'll keep you posted to all our listeners out there. Thanks for listening today. If you haven't caught our YouTube channel, you may want to go to our YouTube channel and check out a video that Lisa and I have recently done that answers some questions that came in from all of you on the pineal gland episode with Heather Sartain, which was episode 10. We answered those questions, and that video is on our YouTube channel, so you can check that one out. And as well, Lisa and I are gearing up for our trip to Arkansas, and we're going to be doing lots of live video, almost like video diaries of what's going on. It's going to be an authentic road trip. We're sleeping in our car, and we're going to be going into some crystal vortexes, so that should be interesting. And
mine.
Yeah. So you can email us any questions, info@enlightenup.us. And for any more information, please go to our website, enlightenup.us. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to us in iTunes and leave us a review. The more reviews we have, the more we understand what kind of job we're doing. As well, it helps separate us from other spiritual podcasts and bring us up in the rankings so that we're easier to find. And again, you can follow us for any other updates or little side insights of knowledge or wisdom that we want to share with you on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So that's it for today. You guys have an awesome day, and we'll catch you next time, perhaps on Twin Flame episode.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.